watching the price do what it does. I don't know how I feel about it, like I'm just the kind of person that likes to just kind of let it sit for a minute. Am I happy? I'm not happy it came down. Am I happy that it's made a move like this? I mean, it's complicated. I mean, I guess in some ways I'm happy because I know that there's a good chance if this can rebound here, it's going to go. There's a stronger chance than low, which is good. So we mentioned earlier that the walk down would kind of hang here and then probably drop through 502, and it didn't ever really hold support at 502. I think there's a little dip. I think that was after I got off. Yeah, I mean, if you ask me, like, this is what we need. We need to have like a sharp drop in order to reverse. You're not going to get anything gentle at the end. You kind of want that hard sell. It's a weird because it's kind of early. I felt like they could have done this at the end of the day and it would have been a little safer. There's still 30 more minutes of trading, so kind of a strange move. Yeah, I guess I'm happy about it. I'm happy that we made that move, RSI looks good. The 6-minute RSI looks like it's expanding, which is good. That's always a good sign. Potential turn happening soon. We've got the 4-hour right there, which is really good. I mean, we jumped the creek and we've come back to test it. We're testing low. There's just a lot going on right now. A lot to talk about. And all the same, like, not really a lot to talk about. So, kind of like expectations were met. So, it was a easier read. I felt like kind of mapped it out yesterday before it closed. It pretty much did the same thing. So there's nothing really new to talk about. I mean, I could have skipped the whole day today, to be honest. Because like we did the whole thing yesterday at close. Thought it would come up, drop down through this level, and then go down to 498. So let's talk instead about maybe that setup, and then we'll look at GME, which took like a sideways path, and I think so did IWM for that matter. Pretty close, although it's looking like it's going to aim for that 1248. So kind of like chopped in the middle today. This was more along the lines of kind of this middle path, except it tried to hold that support. It may succeed in doing that. We got like 30 minutes left. This is a 1-hour chart. It's hard to see any kind of detail there, but I think it is breaking below it just slightly. It'd be weird to drop from here all the way down to like $1 or something at this point. So it'd be kind of strange. So I think it's probably going to hold here. Yep. What's left to do? There's nothing really left to do except let it go. It's a weird number too. That's a dumb move. Man, GameStop just very strange today. You know, it came to that first target, but never hit the second. And I said I advocated. I thought this was a pretty good swing, but it ended up only hitting over target one, which was 2269. So I had marked both, and I said the breakout really for that head and shoulder would have been higher, but it did a reversal. So it's a strange thing for the market, because when you get a throwback after like a, let's call it like a pattern break, if you get like a throwback, it doesn't, the price targets don't work as well. And usually it just changes it pretty dramatically. It may have just offset it to be fair. Yeah, there it is. So they took the move and like push it lower. So on GME, that would have been your 51% right there from the sorry, my cat was clawing the table. That would have been like the 51% from the head and shoulder move on the neck. So they dragged it after the break here, instead of just taking it and driving it up. It's almost like the move is kind of like pocketed and then dropped lower. So that's not part of the original head and shoulder. I gotta be clear though. Like, I'm not really 100% positive that's what you're supposed to do. If you go to like Bukowski's site and you look at stuff like head and shoulders, he'll say that if it has a throwback or if it reverses direction shortly after the break, it will affect the target significantly. This makes sense to me, but I don't really know if it makes sense from a technical standpoint. Like, if that's really how you do it, I don't know. Anyways, doesn't matter. Point is it attempted to break, didn't break, and you got basically the same move lower. It only ever went to that support at 2269. So kind of a bummer, but at least it did not break below or go too high, which is good. So that part of the equation was kind of my bigger fear, not that it wouldn't come up. I don't really know if I cared that much about that. We even talked about how maybe it could chop down. This is kind of what I drew earlier, and chop down, back to this level and basically come back to zero today. It made a lot of sense to me. There's still a possibility, because of the way this is selling, that this could try to drop down to like, I don't know why you would do this, because it's at 2247. I'm not sure why you would try to make that move. It seems like someone's wants it to drop down there though, to maybe back down to near the floor. I don't know what the target would be though, because it's not like you're going to get to 22, not likely. So you can see it though, because you can see the push down here, here, and here. Like, it's trying to walk down, but it's like, no, we're just going to camp at 2250. And this is a fairly distributive looking action, that big up thrust. It's like a huge buy-in after support, and then it's sold right back down. That's a very awkward looking. What is that? Actually, this is the high volume candle, this low one. That's weird. This is the high volume candle. The other two are like decent, but that's funny. That's super bizarre. So yeah, definitely pinned around 2250. Probably going to stay there. I don't think AMC is going to change much either, by the way, before close. What's important about AMC is how low it hit. So $22.50 was loaded. Yeah, I believe that. My target today was 490. 498. So just FYI. I know I'm not a huge fan of Max Payne, but yesterday it was pretty much writing on the wall right here. You could just tell this is the move that didn't move enough. So the rest of it was super easy. Any operator or really anybody would see that as an easy trade here, just to push it up and drop it back down. Super simple. I'm getting much better at identifying those kind of cracks in the cracks on the surface that you can see before it breaks. This was a weird day. I think that Thursday this week is going to be one of those days that I probably think about for a while, because Thursday just changed a lot of things going into the Friday. And I know like that's normal, but Thursday sets up Friday or whatever. But it's something about the way that we traded here versus the rest of the market. It just kind of, I think it's going to stick with me for a while. I'm not sure why. Something about that. Maybe it's just because of the operator's need or desire to catch that liquidity, and the effort spent to, or even lack of effort to some degree, but the effort spent to like get us back down to that low after that jump. And it started here. This is what I was saying earlier, is it really was back in these two drops. It's good to know, like you can't trust a whip around. Like that's not enough. It's not enough. And I didn't think it was, but I guess I was hopeful, So 3 attempts to push up here creates this 4-top picturesque 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last one being a cat ear looks really weak. But the 1, 2, and the 3 and the 4, the 3 and the 4 are on the other side of the creek. And I was in the Discord for a minute before I came on, and same old, there's some folks that are regularly kind of upset because we're not moving, and I get it. And I've apologized, I think, enough for everybody, but if you don't hear it from anyone else, then I'm sorry that the TA hasn't really followed through, and that my predictions haven't always been the best. In this last 2 weeks, it's been very difficult with the chop. I'll say this, though. This to me is like definitely like final cat ear range kind of thing. And I would not have normally expected it to go this long. And I think the dragged out process here just goes to show like the lengths at which an operator would take, So if it were me and I were doing it again, I would have expected this part. This is actually like a continuation, but it broke the range, which is really weird. But I would have expected this to have come up above and then basically done what we did over here, is essentially like broken out. And I still would have seen the same thing, but just much faster. And it is what it is. There's nothing really else to say about it. We iterated out the final bits here, so that's good. There's nothing really to complain about. It's just the timing of it. So just to recap, if you weren't here on Thursday, I felt like it was pretty evident that they weren't gonna run it, and that they were probably gonna cross down and hit that low, and you could get down to 498 pretty easily today. And the good news about this, if you're wondering like why I'm reminiscing here, is because there were early signals for it on Wednesday. There's some things that happened specifically here, I think at 509, that this drop low like really was the signal, And I think in the future I'll have a better eye for that. Big deal though, if you go to flip the chart upside down and you're looking at it in upside down land, this is a big deal, you know. This push up to 498 is a hook. I mean, plain and simple. The only way that bears can hope to achieve anything right now is probably if this is like a spring for them, which would be like an up thrust. I don't think it's possible. I'm very, very skeptical. I don't think it's possible that you could advance this unless you go back pretty high. So good news, bad news, maybe, I don't know what you want to call it, but I don't think it's possible that bears can advance this based on where we are unless they come back up to 520s or basically the top again. So it's almost like a win-win in some ways. Now, I could say that and somehow it'd be completely wrong, and someone would say, you're an idiot, Booksy. They could do whatever they want to do. They could sell down from here. They don't have to go back up. But I mean, under normal operating circumstances, like this doesn't make any sense to just keep driving the price up right now. We're wildly oversold on the 6 minute. You've got the widening, which indicates a turn of direction. You've got a massive hook, again, on the bear side. It looks like a falling cat ear to me on the bear side, like a paw with the double ears. Everything about it screams like distribution. It's got the break above, on the bear side, I mean. Okay, so that's accumulation. So it's got a break above the creek here. Yeah, and so there's almost no way that you're going to see continuation unless it comes back up. And it would have to at least go back up to like 509. That's like, even that to me would be like probably just another set of ears, you know. It's really hard for me to imagine now the way it's forming, driving lower without some kind of an upthrust again. So I think it's pretty unlikely. I'll just say that. I think it's pretty unlikely that it doesn't run up Monday into Tuesday. But from that point forward, I couldn't really tell you, other than what we've already kind of talked about this past week. The overall setup doesn't seem to have a lot of hope beyond like 6 next week. Like, I would not suggest that I think it's going to go way beyond 6 next week. I think it's possible. And you might be saying to yourself, dude, you've had so many of these pivots and they don't work out. This one's a little different because this attaches itself to that final M cross right here, and there is no other cross. So like, you can keep widening the creek if you want, but this is the main one. And this comes from the July 22nd top, August 1st top, and the 12th top on the 12th. So I was kind of talking about that Discord conversation, and the person was, reasonably upset because they're like, well, everybody's saying it's going to go up for the past 10 trading days or more. And it's like, yeah, the problem is that we never made any confirmation. And I feel like a broken record, right? It's like, maybe they just don't listen to the stream ever, in which case that's fine. But I verbalized it and said, there really hasn't been any confirmation that we're going to achieve 550. All that we keep seeing are these kind of broken S-curves that aren't really able to go anywhere. They're just up thrusts. And I mean, for days I was saying, like, these are not particularly strong because you keep selling back down through everything. But here we are, and you can see that we've jumped, and there's not really any other to look at. This is the downward channel that you've been in. This is a jump across. It's a double M jump across. It came back. We just checked on that 498. That creek, to me, it looks like a spring, and I think we're going to advance. But we'll find out next week. And they were also asking, well, is it a good bet then that you're going to get? And I'm like, look, man, you can say whatever you want to say about this jump in the creek. I'm telling you right now, that's what I think happened. I'm verbalizing it. But I don't control the market. So like, if something else needs to be delayed, it would probably be here, you know, and you have a considerable amount of time right here to do whatever kind of shenanigans. So would I be playing options, you know, weeklies or whatever that expire next week? You know, no. I think you have to just look at this and say, here's a possibility, but why would you do that to yourself? Like, why would you take that chance if it hasn't come above and confirmed an SOS? It just doesn't make sense to me. It's not, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but that's why dumb money is called dumb money, because people buy in the middle of a range, and that's a lot of times where your institutions will move it from, but you have no idea what could happen between here and there and how long that could take. And there's ways of timing things, but like, I'm sorry, I think it's a difficult one to time, and I think you've got to be willing to say that nobody's going to do it perfect. And so you're not going to... I'm just kind of annoyed. I feel like people throw the blame at folks that frankly should not be in control of your trading behavior. Like, no one should be in control of your trading behavior except for you. And so if you're doing that and you're losing money, I'm sorry. I really am. I did say the same thing yesterday because it's like the same story again. You got to make those decisions, but don't trade it until you get confirmation. Like, it's not that difficult. Like, self-restraint. Don't just throw money at it. Watch the chart. Set an alert above here at 518 like I did. I've got one at 516 or something, and then just let it be. I'm not trading unless I see it break up here and hold. It's that simple. It's that simple. Then I don't give a crap if it takes an extra few weeks or whatever it is. I don't care. Because it's like, well, it is what it is. I'm still using technical analysis to get good ideas of when it could happen and price targets. Anyways, I don't want to get on. I'm getting annoyed with myself right now. I don't even want to sit here and lecture people, so I'm kind of done with that. Wow. I was like, where's it going to go? Going to go down to 22.32? I guess so. Well, I guess so. So there's no advancement here. It just starts going down, down, down. So this may be good, this may be bad. So you see that arcing down, it's like compression. You really don't know when it's going to end. So it's kind of like anything else. I think this could be a back test that's like an LPS, or I think you could still need to see that drive low, more like a spring. And there's not really any assurance of that till Monday. We'd have to kind of wait. So I think it's healthy enough. It didn't come too high. I don't think it did. These two motions here and here are distributive actions. Like, they're designed to drive the price back down. You can see it. It follows through every time. But the overall picture here isn't exactly super bearish. It's kind of bullish looking. I like the overall look. In terms of that breakdown, it is below the main trend here, so I think it busted through. I think that's probably what that up thrust is about, like trying to get back into that trend or back test it. So much like AMC, it's like it could be right there where it's ready to go and just take off, or it could be a situation where you get frankly, it could take about a day, but you can get like a longer creek cross down here or something and then go. Because there's a lot of potential latency on this if needed. It could take about a day. Yeah. And then it could take even longer. I mean, I hate to say that, but that's the nature of these ranges, y'all. It's like, just depends on what happens. Could easily see it come up and then do it again and chop down. And this is annoying to folks, but this is just the nature of a range. And from a wave perspective, it's not wrong. It may not be till Wednesday. So I could see the same thing happening on AMC. Like if it was to be delayed, I could see them making kind of a double attempt here at a spring or something, and then driving the price back and up and over, and then coming back down before like any kind of takeoff. And I don't know exactly how long it would take, but that's what I'm saying. You could say, like, is next week a good bet for upside? Well, yeah, I mean, I could say that. I certainly hope it just pushes into the SOS and leaves. I think this overall range looks pretty much finished. But the shenanigans of the market, this is definitely a possibility if we're slow walking it into the SOS. So, another week in the fives, Booksy? Are you serious? I think it's not out of the question. So don't be stupid. Just don't be dumb, you know? There's really nothing to gain by gambling away money on, impulse. There's just nothing to be gained by that. You might eventually get it right, but you're getting it wrong 10 times in a row. You're going to lose money, lots of money, It doesn't make any sense. Just don't do anything, until you see that move. And if it's like May, maybe it happens, it just pops up and then it just drops right back down and then it just rockets, you know what I mean? But I don't think so this time. I think that based on what we've seen evidenced here, I think it's going to be a little bit more of a walkout going into maybe the 28th, and then beyond that to the September 5th area. So I think we're going to get a slower run, even though it's not really slow at all. That's like more of an average run for AMC. Usually AMC takes about like 12 to 20 days to run. And I think the longest one we had was that original run up was like 28 days. And I don't think it has ever been that long. That was that January one. And it includes some of that bottom, but it's a long move. People forget how long that move is. It takes a long time to get going. So that's 15 days. That's nothing. That's 2 weeks. That's pretty average. So that 2 weeks would include all the other stuff that has to happen. That's the other thing is like, yeah, we could look at one example and it would be like, whoa, look how fast this went. It might do it again, maybe. But every other example has a pretty methodical SOS period that takes up a good chunk of time. It has LPSs, like where it's backing up, backing up, backing up. So I'm optimistic. I think that today was a good test for endurance, perseverance, and also a good test of my own ability to interpret minor price action changes day over day. So I'm happy that I passed that test today. I'm not happy that we came down low. I mean, in some ways, right? I don't really want to be low, but what it accomplishes is potentially really significant for the bull side here. We're talking about basing out here right across the creek. That's a significant thing. We're talking about a possible spring action. And that's why I'm like optimistic that we might get a takeoff that's pretty fast and not like painfully slow. Because if it's a spring action, you should see it just kind of find support again, almost first thing, like find support. We're at 5, so it's kind of weird. That's where you'd find support, and then you'd basically just take off, break out here, and then if it's pretty strong, ignore this kind of lower one, but if it's pretty strong, I think you just kind of push up, make the SOS, and then this, I'm thinking this is going to happen. I think we're going to back up to the creek again. So I think we're going to do like 2 major backups, but it should be fairly easy to tell, I guess, when we get there. So pretty good. Just be patient. Don't be irrational about it. You know, after hour moves can happen, and if they happen, that's great. We'll see what happens on Monday. Pre-market. If it's likened to what we had in May, you may not get the entry you wanted perfectly, but what happened in May shouldn't be like, again, I don't think it's the standard. You know, I think it's a pretty unusual outlier. Maybe it's a change in the way the operator wants to do things. They're going to use a lot of after hours movement. But remember, even in May, when it did SOS, it came back down and checked. There's a lot of checks that would have to happen here. You've got to check 520 area. You've got to check 550 area. You've got to check 560 area. And then ultimately, the big one is way up here. So again, even in the event that there's some kind of massive gap up, which would be kind of strange, at least you wouldn't have to wait for confirmation very long, you know. It would probably be this top, not this top. It'd probably be this one that mattered the most here. So somewhere around, I don't know. This is just me spitballing. It'd be like, maybe you open it like near 6. This is like a huge gap up. I'm just trying to draw a comparison to the other one, and it drags back down to like 540s, and then it goes. I mean, that's kind of a similar to what happened in, similar, I guess, to what happened in May. There's some differences. Yeah, I want to say there's an outer. You guys are like, I thought you said we were done crossing the creek. Well, I think we're done crossing the most important one, you know, and I think the next one is the big one for the buy-in, and I think it's kind of a local SOS right where we're at. So it matches what I'm drawing right here. Like, to me, it looks like a localized SOS over the top of this. So yeah, it's hard for me to imagine it going way up then. I think instead of that, it would be like gapping up to like, who knows, like 550 and then dropping back down, hitting that and then running. That's like more like what happened in May. Because it went to like the next level and then dropped all the way back to like, I don't remember what it was, 330 or 320 or something. And then it rocketed. So either way, it's kind of the same spot. I don't think we're going to miss a huge opportunity at 520. I guess is what I'm trying to say. So if you're really antsy and you really want to trade it, just be patient for that. And that's my TA on it. Yep. What about this bearish scenario? Well, that's the thing about 520, right? It's like, it's a similar situation where you could see it drive up and then slide back beneath. The big kicker is going to be this guy. And it's going to be a tough one. They've done stuff where they've rug pulled through these and then reversed it, and it's like some kind of ridiculous move. But I would say this, once this range is finished and you advance back above here, this cross, I don't think I could read anything except distribution if it dropped back below it again. So the big one is this trend that we made starting at roughly 518 through 514, and that goes from respectively Wednesday the 14th through Friday the 16th, roughly that right there. That would be the last jump. I don't think you can go back through that. I do think this uptrend that you're looking at right here is the other cross, and I do think you could probably go back through that. That's this one, sorry. I don't think that's unreasonable. And that's the one that's starting back here on August 7th, I think, through the bottom on the 14th. That one should provide some kind of a support, but it's possible if you were going to back up, like an SOS with a backup, as it's called, that you might do that at, actually I don't think this should come down that low. It would be better up here, that you might do that at the drop here back to like 509 or something like that, 510, you know, that's fine. That would be like a backup to this creek. Does it have to have a backup? No. SOSs do not. Does AMC like to do that? Yeah, it likes to go back to the creek. If it doesn't do it now, it'll probably do it later. At some point. You guys are like, it's never going to use this tiny line from way back here. Yeah, right. Want to bet? Man, they don't care, dude. It's the last known trajectory. They'll use those last known trajectories like all over the place. So I wouldn't put it past the operator. I think it's more likely this pink one would be used, not this one, but still. So overall, I'm pretty excited. I think it looks really good. I'd like to see the price action on Monday move into the SOS. And then I'm talking to you just really plainly when I say the long run here is a possibility. So now that you're in the low, the space between the cross is kind of like indicative of where you might get a potential wave bottom. So this is just purely mathematical in nature. Makes sense if you think about it. It's just this idea of like wave distances. So this is the last known trajectory right there. So that means that the middle here, in theory, is right between these, right where this cross is. So that's about 1 o'clock or a couple hours to close on the slightly afternoon on Monday. So how do they drag it into Tuesday or Wednesday? That's how they would do that. Really, either way it could drag, but anywho, you get what I'm saying? So we'll see. I wouldn't be angry if it were low. I think I'd be more just kind of palm sweaty if it ran high first, just because of the nature of it. It's kind of a scary situation. You wouldn't want to come back down. But I think that on the whole, I'd prefer to go up. Stop with this $5 area. Right. It's not really, that's what I'm trying to say. It's not, I wouldn't, the thing is like, when you look at the timing here, this is Friday right here on the 23rd. I just can't stress enough how every time they've had an opening to delay here, they've delayed. So like, do not take for granted this hit on, this is a really important back test on the 4 hour, which is super significant because we've never run up like a second run up unless we've run up on top of that 4 hour. So it does not happen. Like if you look back at the 4 hour 180, we don't get a sort of a second leg after a big move unless we find support. So finding that support is super significant. That level is going to be really important at 5 now. And then that back test, can't stress that enough. It looks really good. So I'm happy about it. 30 minutes, pretty cool. I'm not thinking that the 4 hour is going to be really anything. It's kind of in the middle, but that's okay. This is where we were when we took off in May. We were at 41. So this is sitting at 47. It's not a huge deal. It did kind of meet that first kind of creek hit point right there, and that's sort of where I thought it might go if it went down to, I don't remember when I did this, maybe this morning, when it went down to 498. So yeah, it looks good to me. I don't know, man. Like if I could erase, if I erased everything on this chart, I'd probably just erase everything except for this creek right now, because that's really significant that it jumped it and then came back to test the top. And maybe the 4 hour. Yeah, it looks good. I don't know, man. I like the idea of AMC kind of like just taking off and not looking back, just kind of popping open at like 5:30, pre-market runs up, and then it drops back down to 5:15 or something, and then it just goes. I feel like that would be strong, but yeah, I don't know. I still think there's a possibility to pin it, so nothing really new to say about MPW or GME. Where did it end? At 2240? All right. Yeah, I mean, it seems about right. It was kind of heading that way. It does look like a double top here, but I think it's at this point, it's a little too soon to tell. I'd have to sort of check some other stuff. I don't really look at a lot of the indicators on GME. I kind of just take it level to level. Right now, it's looking like, man, I can't. It's hard for me to imagine because, like, if AMC runs up, it's hard for me to imagine GME dropping. Maybe it just needs to quietly exit this. That's a possibility. Just kind of quietly exit this trend. Excuse me, this wedge. Because that happens sometimes with these wedges. I used to do breakdowns more regularly like this, but they're kind of silly. Basically what you're doing is you're taking like what the top is. This has 1, 2, 3 hits on it, and then you're looking at this as like a midline instead. And then where would a potential bottom be? Instead of it being like a massive pullback, which is, again, kind of erasing that S-curve, but doing it in more of an M cross, you're looking at it like more like a channel that just needs to go meet the bottom. And I'm sort of staring at this like, that first wave I drew kind of does that, doesn't it? Takes you right over here. If you wave across, it takes you right across and then back down to 2231 again. But interestingly, if you came back there on the 20th, maybe going into the 21st, you probably see that that just meets a, I mean, it's possible. It just meets a channel, so. Here, if you can see it, but sort of like that. Yeah, I could see that. This is kind of like the slow route for AMC, though. People would be pulling their hair out if it went sideways again, but I guess both could be true, because this could go high here and then come back down. And GME could go high here and then come back down. It's kind of the same timing. It's not that different. Just slightly different positions. Well, At this point, I don't think my predictions are going to be any better or different. Just sitting here kind of going over the same thing over and over again. This did have a rounded top, but it stayed really low on IWM. It's an interesting chart. And actually, it made a new low here. That's really weird looking. Something about this, I don't know what this is, but I've seen this before where there's like a, you probably have too. Now, if I mention it, you probably will think about it. You see this for some reason in the market. I don't know what exactly that is. You see this on AMC. That kind of movement. Well, whatever. Whatever it is, I don't know what it is. I suppose if it breaks down, you may expect it to come back to like the 210s again. I don't know what a breakout would look like here. This is a weird formation. I have no idea. I just don't know. Let's see what that daily candle looks like. So this is the area that I was kind of worried this might be like a flag. And then it need to come back down to like 207. There's definitely selling going on here. It's pretty high volume candles relative to the ones next to it. It's pretty high volume. And they did advance. We did advance like a little bit, which is good. There was a lot of selling going on. Kind of reminds me of like this. It's sort of an inverted hammer, but it's got like a really big body to it. Same with this one. But this is different because the one that leads up to it is kind of, both of them are like major. If I were just guessing, I would say it looks like it needs to have like a minor pullback and then advance. If I just kind of saw that by itself, although it did close high. Dang, that's tough. It's tough because that means that the buyers push it back up. So I don't know. Still, if I were being conservative, I'd say, yeah, maybe it comes back down to the floor again. And maybe makes a higher low and then it takes off and continues. And I don't think it's over. I just think that would be sensible. It did push over that first target we had. It came up to 214. So it's not impossible that this breaks down. Again, back to that 207. Still haven't seen any checks. This is the closest we've come right here, that 210 hit, to any of these checks on these tops. It's just like they're purposely avoiding it for some reason. Like, I don't know why. Why would the market want to avoid that? I don't know. Just to delay it, I guess. Do it later. It may end up becoming more of like an auto reaction kind of move. Man, I got a massive headache all of a sudden. Probably staring at charts too much. Yeah, I don't know. I guess if it sees this pullback and advance again, it may even come pretty far. It might come right back up to like 220s. It's just really weird that we didn't make any back tests. It just bothers me a lot. I'm happy we're trading across it. I guess I should be happy with that. We are trading across that area, which is nice. Anywho. All right, guys and gals, and whoever. I'm going to head out for the weekend. Monday might be exciting, so we'll see. If I wake up, I'll try to get up early. If it's kind of crazy, I'll start the stream pretty early. Otherwise, I'll be on probably right before market opens on Monday. I don't plan on doing any kind of crazy video updates. What you get is what you get, so I'm kind of burned out. I would like take my weekends off. To me, this is fairly positive, so just got to see that follow through Monday, and that's where I'd leave it. All right, y'all have a good one. We'll talk to you later.